Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. My name is Johnny Girardi. I'm DataSelf's founder and CEO. In our audience today, we have many of our existing clients. So thanks for joining us. I also see some of our partners in many prospects and some people that I don't know. The goal of this webinar is to give content that hopefully everyone will see, and will learn certain things new. Primarily, the webinar is around transforming your KPIs using our latest release, which is the version 2509. Primarily, it's AI-powered a web UI to automate, unify, and accelerate the decision-making process. So let's get started. Let me go to the next slide here. We'll talk about KPI pains, just to be sure what we're talking about here. The solution to address KPI pains, just talking generically, enterprise-grade BI, how that adds value. That was going to take about 12, 13 minutes of this presentation, and then we'll dive into the DataSelf differentiator. We'll talk specifically about what's new with this new DataSelf release. We'll see a little bit of in action what we have, and we'll talk about next steps. This session is mostly around the business value, so we'll talk a little bit about the tech, but hopefully not too much. So just to be sure, we're on the same page. All companies, they have what's called the OLTP systems. The OLTP systems are the transaction systems, like the ERP, the CRM, the payroll, Google Analytics, all of these systems that help the staff get their jobs. In all of the systems, they have reporting, dashboarding, they help companies deal with the KPIs, the key performance indicators, and usually when I talk about KPI, I'm specifically talking about supporting the decision-making process, primarily, reports, dashboards, and nowadays, AI-powered insights. And quite often, companies can get a lot of their KPIs or all the KPIs from within their OLTP systems. So if you look at your ERP, you go to your ERP and you can find the reports and dashboards and making from decisions. So many times, if you're happy with that framework, probably you would not be in this webinar. However, over time, it's not uncommon for companies to start to need some KPIs that the OLTP system is not capable or is very cumbersome. And then very commonly, people start to build and maintain their KPIs outside of the OLTP system. In the ERP, quite often outside. In Excel is a very popular way for people to do KPI maintenance outside of the ERP or the OLTP. So very common, people go in this direction. Well, let me talk about a specific use case. One of our clients, many years ago, before DataSelf, they were doing this inventory management report. They primarily, the business analyst had to allocate the whole Wednesday. Every Wednesday, the only job for the business analyst was to refresh and be sure that this inventory management report was properly done. So only once a week, full day. So weekly report only. And was done in Excel. So primarily, it would take, several hours, on a good day, as you were saying, 4 to 5 hours of just groundwork, export data from the ERP into Excel, multiple exports, multiple pivot tables, multiple formulas, and every kind of, step of the way, it would take, seconds to minutes to hours, sometimes waiting for the Excel to come together, the whole process. So she was saying, on a good day, this report, if nothing fails, everything is great, 4 hours, it was done. Reality is usually there are problems. And quite often, we took the full day, sometimes more than a day to get the report done. And when you're finishing your day, the report is almost ready, you're about to finish it, and then Excel crashes. And then there was a nightmare, She was saying, every time the Excel crashed, it was a nightmare. It would take sometimes hours to fix it, go into the night, and, all those complaints. And then once everything was done and the reports were emailed to the end users, because it's a error-prone process, she would have to go through multiple Excels and adjust the formulas and adjust the filters. It was an error-prone process. So many times people would say that it is not correct. And then she would spend hours and hours in the course of the week to validate, did I make a mistake? Or is the person complaining wrong? So it was a lot of friction because the system, this report was error prone, and it was just a lot of work and kind of frustrating. Management, obviously very frustrated because they want to see the report more frequently refreshed. They couldn't understand exactly why. They just have to wait once a week for the process to happen. And of course, the business analyst, she was working like crazy. She was complaining that, she could do better things than they just being refreshing, but it is what it is. Everyone have to put up with it. And, she was saying she didn't know anything better, and that was life before BI. So this is a common scenario that many clients knocking our door. They have similar complaints, very labor intensive. They don't trust what's happening. Everything takes forever. Reports usually, takes minutes, hours, or days to get ready. It's a common frustration of reports in OLTP if you're just using the regular way of doing reports. In a nutshell, labor intensive, conflicting data. People don't trust the numbers, or the numbers between two reports are not matching. Slow to update. She was mentioning that another report that was just plain an Excel report. She will open it and then click the refresh button. And on a good day, it would take 5-10 minutes. On average, it would take an hour, sometimes more. And sometimes it would crash Excel. Sometimes it would lock her computer. It was, sometimes just running reports slow was also a painful process. And finally, once decision makers would get access to the report, they could not slice and dice it. It was too slow. It was impossible. So frustration. These are the common complaints of OLTP reporting. Well, what is the solution for that kind of problem? Pretty much is adding an enterprise-grade business intelligence solution to your framework. And when I say enterprise-grade, I'm not saying it's complicated, it's expensive. It can be, yes, it can. But nowadays, there are a lot of options that bring really enterprise-grade BI without breaking the bank and without requiring a lot of complexity. But adding this layer will address those problems. What it is and how does it work? So primarily, enterprise-grade BI requires, you have your source systems, your OLTP systems, your CRM. You add a data warehouse. So a data warehouse is a separate repository that is optimized for reporting. You take the data from the OLTP that quite often is not very good for reporting. It's kind of cumbersome and slow and complicated. You put in another database, and now in the database, there's other database, you can optimize the data to be easy, fast, and easily customizable for reporting. So that's one step where you create what's called a single version of the truth. You define your metrics in the data warehouse, and then when you plug the reporting layer, usually analytics, then decision makers can see the information automatically refreshed. You don't need to, to wait. It runs in seconds. In all of this technology nowadays, enterprise grade is AI powered. There's a lot of value when you look at the AI helping the data warehouse and analytics to make informed decisions easier and faster. At the end of the day, when you add enterprise grade BI, users, decision makers, they'll be able to see actionable insights instantly, anytime, anywhere. They don't have to wait for people to massage the data. They just run the reports when needed. So that's the kind of the architecture. From a value standpoint, on the left, I'm having the summary of the pains before BI, and on the right, we have after BI. Primarily with BI, all the mechanical things that people do in Excel or in accessing other things that people spend hours and hours. The idea, if it's mechanical, is teach the BI to automate it. We tell people that on average, more than 80% of the manual process before BI becomes completely automated some clients 100%, but the bulk of the manual process becomes automated. Very important value is that you define the metrics, how you calculate your revenues, your gross profit, your expenses in the data warehouse. So it's the single version of the truth in the data warehouse. And when you run your reports, no matter what the tool that you run your reports, you're just pulling that definition from the server. So you're going to see multiple reports. In all of them, they have the same information because the rules are designed on the server, not on each individual report. Very important business value. Reports running seconds. We have the 10-second rule. If a report takes longer than second, usually call the experts because some tweaking is needed. And with enterprise-grade BI, you pretty much can have unlimited ad hoc analysis. We call the unlimited drill down and drill across. What kind of tools are available for enterprise-grade, BI? So in data warehousing here, we have the four most popular that we hear frequently in this market base: DataSelf, Snowflake, Microsoft Fabric, and Amazon Redshift. Snowflake, Microsoft Fabric, in Amazon is what we call amazing platforms, but it's pretty much not portable. If you start to go in a journey in one of them, you realize, oops, I need to go to a different direction. Pretty much you scratch the investment, you start all over again. DataSelf works with all of them. And pretty much if you work with DataSelf using a certain framework and you decide to change in the future for whatever reason, you can port the investment into the next direction. So ours is pretty much what we call the only one where the design of the framework is portable. Analytics tools, there's a lot out there. Power BI and Tableau are the most popular by far in our market. We also see sometimes others like Domo, Looker, Monad. But anyhow, Power BI and Tableau are the most popular. So these are just the vendors, enterprise grade. All of them, they have amazing AI power engines lately. So as these big companies invest in AI, pretty much you'll be benefiting from that investment. Now, DataSelf also has around all of these different vendors, because we're portable, because we work with all of this big company technology, we are the only one that I'm aware of that has what's called the DFT modeling, dimension, fact, and time modeling. In the course of 20 years, we have made major investments to make the modeling of the BI, of the enterprise-grade BI, amazingly comprehensive, covering ERP, CRM, payroll, whatnot. It has proven, we have a lot of clients using, it's scalable, it's pretty much source agnostic, as you grow. If you outgrow your ERP, or if you acquire other businesses with other ERPs, or you're acquired by another business that has another ERP, our modeling makes the transition between different OLTP systems easier and faster. I'm not saying easy and fast, but significantly easier and faster. And the DataSelf solution, as part of the DFT, we have thousands of reports and dashboards that kind of plug and play into the ERP system. So primarily, if you decide to start a new enterprise-grade BI journey, there are two main ways to go. Either start from scratch. I tell people, good luck, pretty much if you find the right people, you hire the right BI expertise, you already know what you want to measure, take the time to build, and be sure to keep your BI experts around, because in the long term, if you have people turnover, it can be very hard for the other people to take over whatever the first team built. So long term can be complicated. Overall is slow, but it's an amazing journey. If you invest into the BI journey, no matter what, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. So from scratch is low, but it's definitely worth it. The DataSelf approach pretty much is we fast track. First of all, we have what we call a prepackaged enterprise-grade BI. So we're not bringing clunky tools. We're bringing amazing BI technology without breaking the bank and without being too complicated. We make it very simple to leverage enterprise-grade BI. Typically, once the paperwork has been done, the security has been taken care of, it gets up and running in hours. The beginning of the process is amazing and is done very fast. In the beginning of the journey, depending how many modules you get in the DataSelf system with the DFT layer, we call the templates. If you have everything, you get more than 8,000 reports and dashboards, a PAR, financials, inventory, sales, opportunities. There's a lot of things that plug and play in hours into your ERP, CRM, and payroll systems. It's portable, with DataSelf, as you start the journey, if in the future you decide to change the platform from AWS to Fabric or vice versa, or you decide to detach from DataSelf, you can port to the other solution, or you can get all the metadata from the DataSelf system and hard code it into your next platform and continue. So you don't trash the investment in the DataSelf platform because it ports into other framework in case you decide to use SQL as the basic framework. And finally, professional services. Many times, many of our clients, they use our professional services to support, to train you, to teach you to fish, sometimes to be your part of your BI team, or at least to get started. So we also have expertise as needed. And this framework is being designed to live for the long run, not for the next 3, 5, 10, 10 years. Is for as long as you decide to have an enterprise-grade BI. Our vision is that DataSelf should help. And if one day you decide to move on, the portability will allow you to easily move on without scratching and trashing your investment into the DataSelf enterprise-grade platform. Going back to that use case of that client that was spending a lot of hours every Wednesday doing the inventory management report. After DataSelf, that whole day that was dedicated for the business analyst completely automated all of those hours. The report now run on schedule automatically. They're running pretty much overnight. So every day, management can just open the reports, runs in seconds, zero human interaction. Pretty much the business analyst has freed a lot of her time so she can do more analysis and help decision-making process instead of spending hours and hours with preparation and mechanical work. And management can extensively slice and dice their data and do ad hoc analysis, something that before they weren't able to. So at the end of the day, with a DataSelf solution, what you get is we call automated KPIs. Anything that is mechanical, we or you teach the computer, you program the computer, the software to do it for you, so you can have more time for the analysis and make confident and timely decisions. So that's pretty much a little bit of an overview of the KPIs and the vision of DataSelf. What's new in the new release? This is a beta release we released last month. First of all, now we have on the data modeling, the data warehouse, we have a web UI that is AI powered. So that's a big novelty and it's very exciting. The DFT modeling, in the course of 20 years, we have been evolving it significantly, and I'm going to be showing some of the flashy new things we have in the DFT modeling. Now we support more than 430 data connectors that are no code. So there's a lot, pretty much most ERP systems and CRM and whatnot are supported without writing API programming. It's just no code integration. And the main goal overall is to automate as much as possible the KPI maintenance so you can focus on data analysis and less on data prep. This is the architecture of DataSelf. The far left is the OLTPs, the data sources. Any data source can be brought over. I'm showing here the most popular sources we find in the mid-market. But again, any data source can be brought over. What we bring to the table is data warehousing and modeling, ETL plus. ETL means extraction, transformation, and loading. Is our own secret sauce to get data from the OLTP systems into the data warehouse. The DFT does the modeling. It is AI powered, and we have a lot of reports and dashboards that plug and play. Pretty much you choose what tools you want to see the information. Power BI and Tableau are the most popular. We support a bunch of others, and absolutely we support you if you go into the bigger framework of these vendors. like Microsoft Fabric, Salesforce, cloud sources, and whatnot. At the end of the day, automated reports run fast, bring data together for data consolidation, drill down. You can go as far as you want. There's no limit to the drill down. Well, a lot of benefits. Let me keep moving on here. I'm going to spend the next few minutes giving a little bit of a tech tour from a high-level standpoint. I'll show you a business tour. Then we'll wrap the session. So the first is AI powered, and this is more for the business analyst, but just to give you how amazing AI is helping people deal with data problems. This is pretty much, the web AI. And here I have a little bit of a data modeling where I have a system where I brought two ERPs to the same data warehouse, like a company that has two different divisions, one using Acumatica, the other using Sage. Could be also NetSuite, QuickBooks, you name it, but the data is together. And then if you say, hey, I need to combine data from these two different systems to do some reporting. Until AI came to become reality, the business analysts would have to go and see the data and come up to ways to combine the data and clean it, whatnot. Now with AI, you're going to be able to just ask in plain English. Let's say combine the customer list from both my ERPs. Press enter. And usually the expectation is 80% of the sweat and tears that the business analyst in the past will go through to get this job done. 80% is done in seconds. The AI will give you what needs to be done. You still need to interpret what the AI does, fix it, ask again another question, and the AI will continue to help in the process. But the goal is to dramatically and amazingly automate even more data, the business analyst role to make data modeling, bringing data from multiple systems, from multiple tables, and help the decision-making process system to run faster. So a lot of benefits on it. Next webinar in 2 weeks from now, we're going to open the hood and show you this in more detail. Today, I'm just giving you the perspective. You write a question like this, and yes, the tool is not going to do everything, but it's going to save a lot of time in sweat and tears. The DFT is an amazing concept because in DataSelf, we take the raw data from the source systems, we mirror into the data warehouse. So just mirror efficiently, quickly. So have a copy of the source system, the data warehouse. And then we transform that mirror data into the DFT layer, where for every spot, we call the single point of truth, for every spot of your analysis, there is a place for customer, a place for item, for salesperson, for chart of accounts, for sales, for inventory planning, for anything that you care to analyze. There is a spot in the data warehouse. Inside of each spot, you define the rules. Let's say customer. There is a way to get customer from maybe multiple systems, or maybe from your ERP and your CRM, or from Excel files. No matter how and where the data for customer is, behind the scenes, you plug that rule in the customer spot, and now all reports in Excel, in Power BI, Tableau, Domo, no matter what you're looking at, they're going to be showing you the single version of the truth. And if you need to change in the future, you change in a single place in that spot, and automatically all reports will understand the change right off the bat, in simplifying and guaranteeing the single version of the truth, using the DFT as your spot. This is an amazing concept that just give an idea that there's a single place to define these rules, and all reports and dashboards will reflect that no matter what. And if you change in the future, you acquire a new business, and you bring the customer list from the other, and you plug to your single spot of the customer. As soon as you do that, when you run the next report, you're going to be seeing the customer list consolidated in your reporting tool. Yes, there is security, there is data governance, that you can control who can see what, absolutely. But being able to bring the data together and model it is amazingly more automated with the spot. We also have what's called the star schemas. It's just bringing the data in a format where you have the details in the middle with all the sales transactions, for instance, and around you have the dimensions. all DFT powered. So this is a very common framework. The extension of the star schema is what we call the galaxy schema. This can look a little scary, but as you can see in the middle, you have the facts, the APAR, financials, inventory, sales, CRM, payroll, anything's in the middle. And around you have your dimensions, and this will allow you to do reports across multiple modules, multiple systems without having to export each one for Excel and gluing things in Excel. So Star Schema does a lot of the magic of gluing data together. That was a quick tech tour. I hope you didn't burn your brain if you're not technical enough. But let me give you, ultimately, once all of this enterprise grade is behind the scenes and plugging and doing all of the data, single version of truth and calculation, how business people go about looking at their reports and dashboards. I'm going to show 3 examples that are very popular in our client base. When you log to your BI, the UI could be, again, Power BI, Tableau, Domo, doesn't matter. As a business user, you log in, and then you see this kind of usability. The slicer is one of our most popular framework where business users can just slice and dice the data with little training. Right now, I'm looking at my revenues in a certain period, and I see this by customer. Let me just reload this. What if I want to see this report in a different time frame? Just reload it. Right, what if in a different time frame, you just select the years, press apply. Now the report shows things in multiple years. No, I just want to see in 1 year, no problem. And I just want to see in a few months, just for 3 months. And I want to see in detail, and I drill down from the year to the month level. Boom, boom, in seconds, I see the detail. I don't want to see customer, I want to see something else. You use the slicer, and you just pick and choose. And you can customize this to have an unlimited number of optional fields. So if I want to see by salesperson, you choose salesperson. Now the report shows sales by, revenue by salesperson in seconds. What if you want to break it down? Expand to the next column. And right now it's showing by customer. Sure, I want to break it down further. Go to the next level. You just pick and choose in the tool instantly, accurately, just render the information by salesperson, by customer, by item. I have my revenues for the past 3 months. And if you want to see some other measures, pretty much you pick and choose. All of this is customizable. As a business user, pretty much what I just showed you is the training to help you customize reports like this. Final example is dashboards. In AI, in BI, there's lots of dashboards. We have more than 8,000. Flashy, interactive. When you see something, why this is red, you click that customer, the dashboard changes, filters, and you see why that's happening, so you can make extensive drill down in slice and dicing. Running short of time today, so I'm going to jump back into the final piece of my presentation. If you want to take some screenshots of these 2 QR codes, it's going to give you this one, a page that has dozens of 2-minute videos showing our most popular dashboards out of 8,000. So there's about 40 that you can see how to do financials, how to do cash flow projection. If you want to see the whole complete list using Tableau, Power BI, this QR code is going to send you to a knowledge base page that gives you that list. As the next step, if you want to review your BI, even if you're a DataSelf client and what I showed you is you're not getting some of the value, call us, schedule a call. We're here to see how your KPI environment is working. If you don't have DataSelf, if you're working with a competitor or working with DataSelf, call us. We're here to assist. We're here to learn. And quite often, using our data geek wizardry and tools, hopefully we can point you in direction where you can make the process more efficient and hopefully help you make more informed decisions. As I mentioned, in 2 weeks from now, we're going to have the technical webinar. It's going to be a full hour where we're going to be opening the hood and showing a lot more of the technical details. This video is being recorded. We're going to be sending a copy of the link. I hope you found this informative. Thank you for joining and enjoy your Friday. Thank you all for joining.